It was the Anglo-Irish Treaty of 1921 that finally brought the Irish War of Independence to an end. Ireland at last seemed at peace. But the treaty divided Ireland. It was embraced by some and hated by others, and soon brother would fight brother as the country descended into a bloody civil war. The anti-treaty side, led by Eamon de Valera, believed that the treaty was a betrayal of the promise of the Irish Republic as proclaimed in the 1916 Rising. Michael Collins, leader of the pro-treaty side, argued that the treaty was a stepping stone, a freedom to achieve freedom. The general election of 1922 was won by the pro-treaty party. This led to the creation of the Irish Free State. In response to the election, the losing leader de Valera claimed that the majority have no right to do wrong, and he continued to oppose the treaty. The anti-treaty Republican forces initially outnumbered those of the Free State, but they were poorly armed as they had been in the War of Independence and lacked a clear plan. On the opposite side, the Free State forces were mainly composed of inexperienced new recruits, but they were far better armed with British weaponry such as machine guns, armoured cars and heavy artillery. When the British Army gave up their barracks one by one throughout the Irish Free State, both anti- and pro-treaty sides raced to seize them. But it was Eamon de Valera's anti-treaty forces with their large numbers who were able to take the majority of the barracks. Anti-treaty forces then occupied the forecourts and other buildings in Dublin. Their hope was that the British would remove them and that it would reignite the War of Independence. But eventually, the Free State Army shelled the forecourts, and the Civil War had officially begun. Anti-treaty forces were swiftly defeated in Dublin, so they retreated to their strongholds in Munster and declared an independent Munster Republic. In Limerick, both sides held territory in the city and battle lines were drawn. But the Free State Army was outnumbered, outgunned and outpositioned. Thus, the Free State used some trickery to appear stronger and deter the anti-treaty forces from attacking. Possessing only 150 rifles, 50 of these were loaded onto a truck to arm the new recruits arriving outside Limerick. These men then marched into the city with the rifles on display. But upon arrival, the recruits handed their weapons over and were given copper pipes disguised as rifles. The 50 real rifles were then loaded back onto the truck for the process to repeat again. Once the Free State had enough troops and weapons, they attacked. The street fighting was intense, but the experienced anti-treaty soldiers held firm. Eventually, the Free State got their hands on a large field gun which tipped the balance. That gun was set up where you stand right now. The Free State used that gun to fire shells across the River Shannon at the Strand Barracks. The anti-treaty forces didn't stand a chance. After 10 days of fighting, the Free State took Limerick. The remaining Munster Republic strongholds fell after Limerick. Anti-treaty forces went back to guerrilla tactics seen in the War of Independence. But the war descended into a series of gruesome executions and assassinations committed by both sides. Losing the war as well as public support, the anti-treaty side eventually called for a ceasefire, which effectively ended the Irish Civil War. The end of the Civil War brought peace to the newly created Irish Free State. But it continues to affect Irish politics to this day. Ireland's two strongest political parties are directly descended from those pro- and anti-treaty sides, Fine Gael and Fianna Fáil. But today, the battleground is Dáil Éireann, and the weapons are words.